Are you ready to embark on your journey of building credit? Opening your first credit card is an important financial milestone, and taking the right steps from the beginning can help set you up for success. In this video, I'll share the 5 most important things that you should consider before applying for your first credit card. These are 5 things that I wish I knew before I opened my first credit card, because they would have allowed me to optimize my strategy for opening future credit cards and helped me to raise my credit score a lot quicker. So let's get right into it. The first thing to consider is, which credit cards would you most likely be approved for? When opening your first credit card, the main thing to consider is which credit cards would be the easiest to get approved for based on your situation, such as, are you in college, or are you willing to put a cash deposit to open a credit card? And so this ties into my next point, which is there are 2 categories of credit cards that I think are the best for starting out. The first is a student credit card, which is designed for college students who may have a limited amount of income and limited credit history. The next is a secured credit card, which requires a cash deposit, and they are designed for people that have bad credit or no credit at all. You basically put down a cash deposit, and your credit limit will typically be equivalent to your deposit amount. My first credit card was the Bank of America Better Balance Rewards that was actually just closed to new applicants for the past several years, and also just discontinued last month. So basically I was rejected for the first 2 times that I applied for the credit card, and then I got it on my 3rd try about 4 months later. When I reflect back on the first credit card I applied for, I really wish I applied for a student credit card, as it probably would have been easier for me to get approved on my first application and allowed me to start building my credit several months earlier. And to summarize, the first thing you should consider, the cards that you're most likely to get approved for on your first application are going to be cards that market themselves toward individuals who are starting out to build their credit, since you wouldn't have a score just yet. And if you are a student in college, I highly recommend applying for different student credit cards that are out there. And if you're not in college, I recommend applying for the secured credit cards. The second thing to consider is, which financial institutions would you like to start building a relationship with? Since you are essentially opening a credit line with the financial institution through the form of a credit card, you are beginning your relationship with them. And if you have a checking or savings account with a certain financial institution, it may make sense to open a credit card with them, because it'll be easier to track your credit card usage and pay the monthly statement as it closes, since you will only have to check one account opposed to having to check different accounts and have different logins. Also, as you build your relationship over time with a financial institution, by consistently managing your credit cards properly and building a positive credit history with them, it can strengthen your overall credit profile. And so a strong credit history combined with a good relationship may increase your chances of qualifying for lower interest rates on car loans or even a mortgage. However, this is not a guarantee, of course, but it makes sense that if you demonstrate loyalty to an institution, the institution would like to retain your business through the form of competitive interest rates. For example, I tested out what my auto loan interest rate be through my primary bank that I have 4 credit cards with, and I tested it out in my app portal, which gave me close to an interest rate of 1.5% less than what the advertised rate is on the actual website. Obviously, this is subject to your creditworthiness once you put your information in, but always remember that building a relationship with a financial institution is very important. The third thing to consider is, do you want to focus on cashback cards or earning points for travel? Most cards that you apply for are either credit cards that give you cashback for your purchases, or credit cards that give you points based on the percentage they award you on different spending categories. The reason why I think this is something to consider is that it's important to think about which one you want to focus on, because the faster that you accumulate more points, the more you will have to redeem for future travel. As a result, if you have ambitions to travel more in the near or distant future, this can really and heavily subsidize the cost of traveling and help you get better value back on what you would have otherwise spent money on. Although do note that most cards that earn points require a longer credit history and a higher credit score. You can always change your strategy later on or have a combination of both. But if you take the time to think about which strategy you want to begin with at least, it will allow you to help focus on what cards you may want to open in the future. I think the best starting strategy if you're a beginner is to first start off with a student or secured credit card that awards you cash back, since most of them do. And then once you hit a certain score of close to or over 700 and maybe 1 to 2 years of credit history, you should start considering applying for credit cards that issue points. The fourth thing to consider is, what are your spending habits? Think about how much you may spend in a month. This is worth thinking about even before you get your first credit card, because your credit card will have a credit limit or a maximum amount that you can charge to it. And so a good percentage to stay under in terms of your balance is under 30% of your available credit at all times. If you charge close to your credit limit, it will definitely decrease your credit score, since your utilization rate or the percentage of how much you charge to it will be higher. For example, my first credit card only had a $600 credit limit to it. It was definitely not a high credit limit, as if you are living in the United States, you're most likely going to be spending more than $600 in a month. And so I was always charging around $200 on it monthly, since I wanted to be under the 30% mark. I then used my debit card to charge the rest of my expenses on it, and it definitely helped me increase my credit score quicker. I think you should try doing whatever you can to not spend over 30% of your credit limit, so that your credit score won't be negatively impacted from the beginning. Another big reason to think about your spending habits is so that you don't overspend money on it that you don't actually have in your checking account. It's very easy to get carried away with spending money that you don't have, and as a result, you will have to carry a balance on your credit card. And this is very costly in terms of paying additional money, as you have to pay interest on it, usually upwards of more than 20%. The fifth and last thing to consider is your first credit card is the most important one to hold on to. Once you have shopped around and got your first credit card, make sure to hold on to it as long as you can, since it will be the start of your credit history, essentially your length of credit history, and it makes up 15% of your credit score. As you work your way towards a better credit score and have the ability to open cards that have better rewards and perks, make sure to keep your first one, as this will be the date that is factored into your credit history. However, at some point, of course, when you have maybe close to a decade or more of credit history, it will matter a lot less, as your average credit history will round out to a value that wouldn't negatively impact your score that much at all. So those are the 5 things that I think are the most important to consider before opening your first credit card. When you first start thinking about applying for a certain credit card, I know it can be intimidating when there are so many things to think about. However, if you consider these 5 things, you will start out your journey at a good spot. You will build strong relationships with financial institutions, and that can potentially allow you to secure better terms for any future loans you may obtain. And also remember to be responsible with your credit usage, understand the interest rates, and to pick a card that aligns with your financial goals. So thanks for watching this video. Please leave a comment down below sharing what you enjoyed the most. If you got any value from watching this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more videos just like this one.